Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much. How are you?
Very well. Good for a Monday. I was going to say Monday morning, actually Monday afternoon now, strictly speaking. So yeah, I'm good. I've been to the gym twice.
Twice
Sorry,
this
no, I've not. That's a
morning.
lie. I'm lying. I've started off on a lie. Gonna have to cut there. I've been to the gym, right? I'm just showing off. I've been to the gym and then I've walked my daughter to school because I've got to do 2 workouts as part of this challenge that I'm doing. So ignore that. Sorry, guys. I've started it off on a lie. I'll completely
I was
understand if
going
no
to
one
say,
trusts
like,
me ever again.
what time did you wake up?
5 a.m. standard.
5 a.m. club.
Yeah, loving it. But yeah, thanks for jumping on, everyone, and to you, Dionne. Obviously, I'm joined by Dionne Slater. I'm really excited to get into this one, which we're going to talk about how to overcome and what on earth self-sabotage is. I know I've got some comments that I was just saying to you before we jumped on about that. How you can make more money by reducing the amount of self-sabotaging you do,
Yeah.
because I know everyone will still do it. I'm sure you can unpack me. I'd probably still do it quite a lot. And some actionable steps as well that people are going to be able to take away, right?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Wicked. So thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.
I know you primarily work with business owners, and obviously you
Yeah.
are one yourself. So can you talk a little bit about your background? I know you were a VA before this, and how
Yeah.
you came to be exactly where you are.
Yeah, definitely. So my first business, so I'm 31 now. My first business, I was 21 when I started it, and it
Oof.
was as a vocal coach. So I'd been a singer for years. I never really wanted to do it, but ever since I was a kid, my mom and my family had always been like, yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to do that. And I never really kind of knew myself. I had a very messy, dysfunctional childhood. I know dysfunctional is kind of like the buzzword at the minute, but it was a very messy childhood. So I never really kind of knew myself. So I was like, okay, I'll just do that then. Became a vocal coach when I was 21 and
Nice.
got fully booked really quickly, had a waiting list of like 6 months. Like it was all awesome. But I never believed I was good enough, no matter how well I did. I always had this nagging voice, this feeling like you're just not good enough. You're crap. Everything you do, you're going to fail at everything you do. And as a result, it caused me to just play very small. So I was undercharging. After getting fully booked, I still never really raised my prices or scaled my business in any way. I just kind of stayed where I was until I eventually quit that business after a few years. Because even though it was still always going well, it was always fully booked, still had that voice. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to have money. Until one day I was like, no, you know, I'm quitting. I'm good. Like the voice got too loud. So that was in itself like a huge cause of self-sabotage. So I quit the business, got a job in a call center, hated it.
Been there. Been there.
Hated it, absolutely hated. Like you're telling me when I can have my holidays? How dare you? How dare you? So, but I was still in the job for 14 months. So, but like even though I hated it, and all I did was complain about it because I had this belief of I'm just not good enough. I was like, I'm just going to stay in it and then complain all day and all night about how much I hate my life. Eventually I thought I can't do this anymore. I need to have my own business again, but I just don't know what to do. And then I found out about the world of virtual assistants and I was like, I can do that. It's like admin, social media. Okay, I'll do that. Um, Started off, I think the first jobs that I had was doing blogs for people, 2,000 word blogs, £25. So these blogs, which would take me hours to do, it worked out. I was probably getting paid about like fucking £2 an hour or something like that by the
Wow.
time that I'd done it. But I was still like, because I had this belief again, if you're not good enough and money is not available to you, um, I would do jobs like that. But anyways, I started charging higher rates eventually, and then I did like I built it up pretty big. I started making like the 5K months, even 7K months. I was like, oh my god, I'm doing it. But I was still massively sabotaging. So even though to the outside world it looked like I was doing really well, very happy, always smiling. I was still binge drinking on a weekend, getting off my face, spending Monday, Tuesday, still hungover, shit productivity. Wednesday, feeling all right again. Thursday, brilliant,
On
really
the
productive.
booze.
Friday, let's get back on it. So that was for years. Like that was still my biggest form of self-sabotage. Because I didn't believe I was good enough. And this is the thing, if any of you, and it's one of the most common beliefs that people have got, I'm not good enough. When you have that belief, you make it a self-fulfilling prophecy because your thoughts control your feelings control your actions obviously control your life. So we have to change that belief, like unless you want to keep sabotaging, because that's what you do. Some people won't do it self-sabotage like as extremely as I did. I was very extreme in the way that I sabotaged over the years. But we all do it to a certain extent. And the more deeply held your belief is of I'm not good enough, the worse you'll probably sabotage.
Let's unpack self-sabotage then. Actually,
Yes.
before we do that, I just want to say there's some really, really common themes between our last 10 years, shall we say, apart from me owning my own business 10 years ago, which I certainly didn't. The drinking, I think just being in that call center environment or any environment like that, where the employer is, just a horrible, horrible person, or just the environment's not good, or
Yeah.
you work in a crap job. I think that in a bad way can either drive you to alcohol and to what I think self-sabotage is, and we'll
Yeah.
get into that, or it can drive you to push yourself and go elsewhere, which it
Yeah.
obviously did for both of us in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was a 200 cold calls a day. Yeah, timed toilet breaks, all sorts.
The timer.
Horrendous. I don't know how they got away with. No wonder you went and got drunk during your time off, right? So yeah, and when you're in that situation, you do feel trapped, and so all you can do is complain. But yeah, well, again, we can get into that. Being a vocal coach, you wouldn't think that was someone who didn't think they were good enough's profession,
Yeah.
because to show up and sing, or even teach people something, you got to be quite confident in your own skin. So what was the sort of the mindset
Um,
placement there?
I was an Oscar-worthy actress. So I was the best person and still am in a lot of ways. Everyone has said to me for years, they're like, oh my God, you're so happy. You could be at a funeral and you'd still look so happy. Like people have said that for years. And I believe it is because very much to do with my childhood. It's like it was just a lot safer to keep my mouth closed. A lot safer to keep my mouth closed, put the smile on, act like everything's all right. And I think I was still doing that when I was a vocal coach. So to the outside world, I looked like I had it all together. I looked like I had so much confidence. Inside, I was dying. Inside, I was constantly, I was shitting myself, so nervous. Just had this belief of you're a failure, you're a crap singer, you've got an annoying voice, blah 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 blah. All of these horrible critical thoughts. It was just a learned behavior. I just learned to look like everything was all right. That's all it was. The thing is, most of your patterns of behavior, your thoughts and beliefs, you form the majority of them, if not all of them, by the age of just 7 years old. So if you, for example, have been brought up in, say, a volatile environment, you've experienced abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, whatever, that shapes it, and that you take that shit with you to some people for the rest of their lives if they don't work on it. So I believe it was a lot to do in the way that I'd been brought up. It's like, no, act like everything's all right, otherwise you're going to get a bollocking, or you're going to get the slipper or something else.
Remember that as well.
I was just an Oscar-worthy actress.
Nice. So I think you kind of have given us a bit of a definition, or a few definitions, of self-sabotage. But for anyone that's heard it before and doesn't know when I first read those words, and I don't know how long ago it was, probably less than a year, I was like, what's that? Does that kind of mean like self-harming or self-sabotage? Like, can you give us a sort of top level definition of what it is for anyone that's listening and might not know?
Yeah, so basically it could be, I really, really want something, but at the same time, I don't believe I can have it. So let's say, for example, I really want to make £100,000 a year, but I have this belief that I'm never going to do it. Therefore, I charge my clients £10 an hour.
Mm.
Like, so it's a sabotage. Or I really, really want a successful business, but I don't believe I'm good enough. So I'm just going to get off my face every weekend instead. Or I'm going to go to bed at 2 in the morning, even though I've got a full day of client calls the next day, because deep down inside, I don't believe I'm good enough. I believe my business is going to fail anyways. So I might as well just stay up watching Netflix till 2, 3 in the morning.
What's the
It's
worst
basically,
thing you ever did when you were in your downward spiral? Or
pardon?
what's the worst thing you ever did? What's sort of the worst set of
My,
actions?
my worst self-sabotage was drugs and alcohol for years, all throughout my 20s. I always had it together during the week, but at the weekend I would just go crazy. And then that would affect me, especially the older I got, that would affect me for days and days. I was also a
Yeah.
huge people pleaser, and I let clients really kind of like walk all over me. Um, More so at the beginning of being a virtual assistant. But yeah, for me it was drugs and alcohol, definitely, because it would give me this confidence. When I would have that first drink or whatever, I would feel so confident, everything's amazing. Obviously what goes up must come down. But that to me was definitely my biggest way of self-sabotage. Many people might not have that problem at all. For them, it might be binge watching Netflix for 10 hours and then complaining you've never got time to work on your business. Dropping out of your launch after 24 hours because, oh my God, shock horror, no one's bought anything yet. So it must mean you're a massive failure.
Mm.
There's so many different ways in which people can sabotage, but it's basically when you really want something, but at the same time, you're doing everything you can to stand in your own way.
I see this a lot with people I speak to online, and I end up a lot of my content is actually subconsciously focused around these limiting beliefs that people
Mm.
have, because I firmly believe like anyone out there has expertise that people will pay for, and I try to help people package that up and sell it, and there are these limiting beliefs at every step of the journey, right? It's not just like, oh, you overcome one and then it's over.
Mhm.
Um, it's a constant, I won't call it a
Yeah,
struggle, but it's an every day, or if not every week, that you will get into your own head. And I call it in my program like the seeds of doubt will creep
yes,
in.
I like
The
that.
seeds of doubt will just creep into your brain, and you'll question, why are you even doing this in the first place? Is there something easier I can do? It like, what do people think about me? All these different things,
Yeah,
and it's really interesting that every single person I speak to who is in the profession of helping people, like yourself, myself, and loads of other people on different platforms, it all stems from this. Like, this is the most important thing. Like, what you say to yourself about yourself.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and it is. It's like I used to think it was all like woo woo bullshit. Whenever all
Yeah.
these mindset coaches, all of this spiritual stuff, I was like, what a load of crap. You're either lucky or you're unlucky. Some people are meant to have money. Some people just aren't. It's like God's plan or whatever. And for years, like I genuinely believed, and it's because I had it drummed into us ever since I was a kid. Rich people are arseholes. Rich people are snobs, and we're just meant to be poor. We're just unlucky. So I genuinely like believed all of that. And therefore, of course, I was going to self-sabotage, because if you keep like if you keep telling yourself, or people keep telling you whatever, say like rich people are snobs, and you're thinking, oh well, I don't want people to think that about me. So your subconscious is going to be like, don't worry, I'm just going to make it so that you're never ever going to make money, because
Yeah,
then
keep you
no one
safe.
can tell you it's not. Exactly, keep you safe. That's
Yeah.
all it's trying to do. And sometimes it does it in the most stupid ways.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like society, like subconscious societal brainwashing, I guess, that you like anything outside the norm.
Yeah,
If you don't conform, you're going to be looked down on, but all within, and you'd end up looking down upon yourself. So you can't go too far that way. It's like when you're in school,
exactly.
you don't want to be too stupid or too clever to stand
Yeah.
out, I guess.
Yeah, because either way, people are going to take the piss out of you. So you
Yeah.
want to Just be in the middle, yeah. And
right in there.
then as a result, you always feel different. Most people in school, and that's another main belief that humans have, is that they're terrified of being different. Because obviously, when you were different years and years and years ago, you would probably die when we were on our tribes and whatnot. If you were different, you'd probably get killed. Our brain kind of still is holding on to that belief, like you can't be different because you'll die.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where this comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
equation sort of comes in, isn't it? Like,
Exactly.
if you
Exactly.
want to grow, you're not going to do it where you're currently at.
Yeah.
For most people, you're going to have to take a step. And I wrote something about this earlier, which was like, if you want to be confident at doing something and moving, you have to be brave first. So you've got to
Yeah.
take that first step, and it is really hard, but you can't be confident without being like doing just something to overcome this. And a
So
lot
true.
of the stuff that I try and help people with is just action.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just action. Even if it's not necessarily in the right way all the time, just doing something.
Just do it.
How did you get off? Because it's a big step to stop drinking. Obviously,
Yeah.
I've just done it for this 75
Mm.
hard challenge that I'm doing. I've done
Oh,
it before because I've done a couple of boxing matches. So I've done like 12
oh,
weeks prep.
amazing.
Yeah, it's good for, well, yeah, it is. It's a good buzz. I've won both, so if I lost one, maybe it
Well
wouldn't have been good
done.
at
I
all,
love that.
obviously. But yeah, I think it's really, really that it's so tough to stop drinking, especially someone mentioned in the comments earlier, Colin. You know, it's about who you end up with
Mm-hmm.
and stepping out of that
Yeah.
situation, basically, because
Yeah.
you become accustomed, as I did in the call center job. I would go and get absolutely leathered, either
Mm-hmm.
out in town or around at someone's house or something, and that was just normal because
Yeah.
everyone I hung around with did it. Left jobs, met someone,
Yeah.
had children, things have obviously changed.
Mm.
So, what was the tipping point for you, and what was the mindset shift sort of associated with, I need to stop this now?
So I got better in that I wasn't, and that I'd stopped kind of like partying at weekends. And then I went to kind of like, I was say like over the last year, I would maybe have like a bottle of wine in the house or something, and so it wasn't like too crazy. Um, but then the problem wasn't how much I was drinking. But it was still, I could even still have like one or two glasses of wine and still either say something I really regretted to someone or do something I really regretted. And then when I knew that my pivot was coming up, for sabotage coach, I was thinking, I was like, this is still probably the only area of my life where I'm still really sabotaging. Yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be, but I'm still waking up after I've had even just a couple of drinks, and I'm like, oh, what did I text? Oh, why did I do that?
Mm.
And then there was still that shame around that. So it was, when was it now? It'll be 3 months in 2 weeks, so 2.5 months now. And I just woke up, done the same again. I was like, oh, what did I do last night? Oh no, I did that, didn't I? Yeah, right, that's it. I'm knocking it on the head now. Like, enough's enough.
Out of regret, then.
Yes, it was literally regret. I'm like, I can be the most like sensible person when I'm sober. I'm like a Jekyll and Hyde, though. Like I say, even just one drink, and there's always something I either do or I say that I regret. And just making really stupid decisions. And I was like, there's
Mm.
no way I can be helping people with self-sabotage if I'm still doing that like in my own life. So that was the main thing. So before I did the pivot a couple of weeks before, I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm not doing it
And
anymore.
you stone cold sober now?
Stone cold, stone cold. I mean, to be honest, most of my family are in recovery. So it's really like, it's easy for me now, because when I see like my mom and my sister and stuff, like if we go out together, no one drinks. So it's like I haven't really got any excuse. Like I like it should be really easy for me now, because I've got all these people around me. Like no one really drinks.
Oh,
So
well
yeah,
done.
and
No, it's good. It's really
thank
good.
you. And to be honest, I think it's the first time, because I was so sure about it. I've done months and weeks and stuff where I've stopped, but then I've been kind of white knuckling it, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait till this 30 days is over or whatever.
Yeah.
This time, it feels like it's the easiest time, because I think I just woke up and I was like, nah, I'm just done.
There's no
I'm
end point as well, I guess. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're not working towards something. So that's kind of how I feel like,
exactly.
oh, I'll just finish this just before Christmas. But then my
Yes.
plan is to enjoy Christmas, eat a bit of food, and then just do it again. But
Yeah.
no, good on you. I think
Thank
that's
you.
brilliant.
Thank you very
So
much.
one thing I think a lot of people suffer with, and I'm keen to understand if you think this is self-sabotage. I'm sure the answer is yes. Procrastination. So I know at certain points, like I'm really organized, really structured, and
Yeah.
I know exactly what I should be doing to grow my business. I know exactly what I should do. Some days I will choose to do things other than that,
Mhm.
i.e., creating busy work to not do what I think is the real work. And I know
Yeah.
there are people that do this. I know I've got clients that do this as well. They'll focus on something else which is completely unrelated to making
Yeah.
money or serving clients. Like that's all you need to do to make money
Yeah.
and become a successful business person. Is procrastination a form of self-sabotage?
I would say yes. I still procrastinate in areas of my business. Sorry, I've got such an itchy nose today. I still
Huh?
procrastinate in areas of my in my business, in my life. Um, I think a lot of us like do it to some extent, and that's fine. But the only time it becomes a problem is if you are constantly getting stressed out of your head. And I know this because I've had clients do it. I've had clients, they will literally cry because they are so stressed that they've got stuff to do which they haven't yet done. And it's just this constant vicious cycle of this. I'm so stressed, I'm going to put it off. I'm so stressed, I'm going to put it off. That's when it becomes a problem because you're just making life so much more difficult for yourself. But
Mm.
sometimes procrastination, like it's not a problem. It's like, for example, I've got online modules still. I've still got 2 online modules that I haven't yet done for Sabotage to Slay, my new program. Like, could I have done them earlier, a few weeks ago? Yeah. The next one's getting released. It's going live next Monday. Realistically, I'm probably going to do it at the weekend because I know what I'm like. But to me, it's like I'm not stressed about it, like because it to me. So to me, that's not a problem. Whereas if I was like, oh my god, I haven't got the time. Why did I keep putting it off? That's when it becomes a problem. It's if you're really bloody stressed but you keep doing it, then that's a form of self sabotage, and it usually comes down to a fear of failure.
Mm.
So you're like, so you've got this belief of like, well, I'm going to fail. Let's say, for example, a launch, you're doing an online course and you've got your online modules, you keep putting it off. If you've got this belief of like a fear of failure, if you've got this belief of, well, you're going to fail anyway, so you might as well just not do it. That's usually why people procrastinate.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean there. I think I procrastinate because it's not the exciting stuff, and it's like
Same.
the grunt work. Yeah, that's what moves the needle normally. It's the daily, repetitive, boring things that you don't like.
Yeah.
Going to the gym. It's a bit of a pain. It's inconvenient. So, I thought of another question then, but I think it's left. Oh no, that was it. I think there's also an advantage to procrastination in the way that you just said as well, and I'll do things like that.
Yeah.
Almost leaving it till the last minute because there's Parkinson's law, is it? You know, you'll fill any amount of time with the task that you want to do. So you give yourself, someone said it on a podcast, give yourself 2 hours to tidy a room. It can
Mhm.
take you 2 hours. Give yourself the last 10 minutes before you've got guests coming round. You'll still achieve the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of what you'll do probably with your modules. You'll cram it at the weekend. It'll still be just as good, but
Yeah.
you've probably not, and you've avoided stress by
Mhm.
leaving it that long rather than stressing about, not stressing,
Yeah.
but thinking about it all week. You've actually saved a bit of energy, mental space,
Mhm.
and just put it on for the Sunday,
Yeah.
finish it at 1 minute to midnight or whatever. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's when it would be a problem. Let's say, so I've put it in my calendar. I'll do it on Saturday, and that is the latest I'll ever do it, and then it usually goes live Monday afternoon. Now, if I was to leave it until Monday morning and then start doing it, I've got no time to go back and make any improvements. Then it's going to be a bit stressful. And again, that's when it can become a problem as well. Is if you are leaving stuff to the very, very last minute. Let's say if it's online modules, I'll just keep going back to that. If you're leaving it to the very last minute, then you haven't given yourself any time to go back and make any necessary improvements. So sometimes the quality of work you do, if you leave it to the very last minute, it might not be as high as it could have been if you just give yourself a little bit more time.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Really good point. I like that. So what's RTT then? Well, tell us more about your program, and I'm assuming that includes RTT, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So Sabotage to Slay is it's the first program I've brought out since my pivot into sabotage coach. And it is basically, I designed it to help because I was the queen of bloody sabotage and I know how much it can affect people and it can be so detrimental to your progress. I wanted to create it specifically for business owners who recognize that they have this belief of I'm not good enough, which therefore causes them to procrastinate, that they're massive perfectionists. Maybe they drop out of launches or they avoid launching at all because they're too scared. So all of these sabotaging behaviors, and it's all about helping people to first of all rewire this negative belief into a positive, much more empowering one of, well, I am good enough. But we're changing that belief at a subconscious level because the subconscious controls 95% of your life. So if you've got shit subconscious belief, then that's not going to be good for your life. If you've got a great subconscious belief of I am good enough, it's just going to absolutely transform your life. So that is kind of like the main bit, so that we actually have rapid transformational therapy within that program, which transforms your belief at a subconscious level. We also have calls as well, just because I realized that, like, and I'm the same. I always like to have someone keeping me accountable. Otherwise, I'll just
Mm.
not get shit done. So I also wanted to have that in the program as well, just to have this really nice supportive community so that you know that you're not alone. If you're sabotaging, if you keep getting drunk and making a tit out of yourself when you had business meetings the next day, to know that you're probably not the only one who's doing that.
Yeah.
If you dropped out of a launch after a couple of days because no one bought anything and you felt like a loser, to know that you're probably not the only one who's done that before. I think there's a lot of power in community, and especially as a business owner, and knowing that you're not alone. You're really, really not. So that's why I created the program, to help people feel less alone in their sabotage, and but to also transform it so that they don't need to do it anymore.
Love it. Love it. And you've got, has that started already? The
Yeah.
program?
So we
Yeah.
just started it last week. We just had our first call last week, which is really cool. Like, we've got 6 gorgeous people in there. And honestly, it's like they are literally like the epitome of my dream clients. Like, they're just like they're ready to make the change. They recognize, they know that they're holding themselves back. They know that they've got so much more potential. They've got just so much more to give, so much more to do in their business, so much more to achieve. So we're working on overcoming that sabotage. And when I say overcoming it, we're always going to sabotage like little bits in my life still. But it's
Mm.
it's the big things that are really holding you back from achieving your full potential. Like that's the shit that we want to overcome.
So what's when you get a new client then, what's
Mhm.
sort of the first thing you work on with them?
So we do rapid transformational therapy. So
Oh, it is
first thing I'll
RTT,
ask,
right?
yeah. So RTT is the one-to-one work we do. So what I'll ask them, I'll basically give you a pre-session questionnaire. And one of the questions is like, look, what is the biggest challenge that you want to work on? Someone a few weeks ago was like overthinking. I'm a huge overthinker and it's causing me to sabotage my relationship, causing me to sabotage my business, blah, blah, blah. Some people just say, look, I just never believe that I'm good enough and I just don't feel good enough no matter what I do. So that'll be the biggest thing that we work on. So in an RTT session, we tend to work on like one big issue, but a lot of the time that usually helps to fix a lot of other issues as well when we work on that.
Yeah,
And it's
I found that,
yeah,
with other clients and with myself, once you get hold of one thing, a chunky thing that's holding you back,
yeah.
that's almost like an epiphany, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
like
think,
it's
and
like
it's
a
like,
domino effect.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God, I can
yeah,
actually, or this is easy, or I can actually do it, or I'm better than that person, or that
yeah,
person actually hasn't got it all together. I've just found out, and they're the
yes,
same as me, or whatever it is, and it's that moment of realization that I think it'd change your life. Like that's what happened to me, because
yeah.
I know we talked before the call about like the fear of judgment,
Mhm.
and that is a form of self-sabotage. And I
Yeah,
said that I'd be honest with you and sort of unpack my own experience with that. So I've wanted to create content, and I think I'm quite entrepreneurially minded, if that's
yeah,
a word. And I have been for a while. but never really seen a path. And it was just like, I don't know what I want to do, but I always liked playing around with design and stuff. And
Mm.
yeah, it took me, I reckon, just because of what maybe one or two people in my network, I don't mean online, I mean in real life, in my
Yeah.
network might say something, or
Mhm.
not even to me, but like behind my back, or
Yeah.
someone might think something, or who am I trying to be the next whoever, by having a voice. And that
Mhm.
took me so long to get over. And I don't think you're ever fully over it
Mhm.
either. So I came online, and I still just was just playing around with it. And again, we said off the call, like, you don't just click your fingers and have a thick skin. It
Yeah.
doesn't happen like that.
So
You have
true.
to build it.
Mhm. Yeah, very, very true. I can't agree any more than that. I used to always, when I first started my business, I would see people like they would talk about trolls that they had, like these big influencers, and I used to always think, God, how the hell do they handle that? And I used to play small for fear of being judged, just like yourself, for
Mm.
fear of, oh my God, what if someone trolls me? It's going to be the end of the world. And it was all because I just posted about this morning. It's like, especially if you've got a deep seated belief of I'm not good enough, and then you dare to be vulnerable or be bold in your content, and then someone posts a shitty comment or a shitty direct message, and then it kind of reaffirms that belief for you. It's like, oh, I knew it. I knew I wasn't good enough. And that man has just commented on my appearance. Or he's just said that I'm very cringy. So there we go. I knew it. I knew I wasn't good enough. Um, which is of course bullshit because everyone's good enough. But it's so true. It's like I wish I could just say that, like, here's an exercise and you're just going to have a thick skin, and negative comments are just not going to bother you in the slightest. Like, that's bullshit. I just had a DM like an hour ago, which I read out to you earlier. Oh, the irony. So the post that I did this morning was all about fear of being judged, so therefore not showing up as your true self. And I did it with like a, because like I've always been quite a humorous person, and I did it with like a funny face picture. And someone DM'd me like an hour ago saying, isn't it time we had some good photo shots of you instead of the funny face ones? That way we would know that you have overcome the self-sabotage syndrome. I mean, first of all, what a dick. But secondly,
Wow.
even I know, like,
Backhanded compliment of the month so far. Yeah, maybe year.
I was like, thanks.
Can we have
Um,
some more pictures of your face, just so you can prove you've done what you say
yeah,
you've done?
but none of these funny face ones, because if you do these humorous pictures, then it must mean that you're still sabotaging. We need serious or sexy ones. And I wish I could say like stuff like that, because when I read it, I was still like, you prick. And I was still a bit like, ugh, for like 10 minutes after. Stuff like that used to bother me a hell of a lot more than it did. And if I mean, that's not like even a troll. Um, I wish I could say that it'll never bother you, but like it still stings when you get like shitty comments and DMs. But what happens is it does, you do just develop a thicker skin the more you keep going for it. Because wouldn't it be a shame if people, no one showed up as their truest self online for fear of being judged? I mean, your business probably isn't going to do as well. Your dream clients, the people that you would love working with, they're not going to know you exist. Wouldn't it be such a shame if everyone just played small for the rest of their lives for fear of stupid, offensive, or sometimes even gross comments?
Yeah. Oh, it would be a crying shame, and
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves to be or feel empowered enough to just go and do their own thing, because it's
Yeah.
liberating. It truly is. That
Oh,
it's
God,
changed
yeah.
my life completely. Like,
Same.
absolutely changed not only my business, but allowed me to. I was thinking that when I was walking back from dropping my daughter off at school this morning. I was like, where I used to sit, like, I'd be on that bank of desks in that call center,
Oh,
moaning,
oh,
absolutely moaning, doing nothing about it.
yeah.
And yeah, having to go for a wee and being timed. It
Oh,
was just, it was
I will never
crazy.
miss it. It's
Um,
horrible.
It's the worst thing ever. But you have to, you don't even necessarily need an action plan. And this is where I think it comes into the growing thick skin, is almost like you grow into what you're meant to become when you take that action. And no one knows what that action is. You
Mhm.
just have to do something. So it's like,
Yeah,
if it's the job that's holding you back, what else can you do, even
yeah,
in the interim, or what can you set up on the side, is a thing that I know a lot of people consider. You've got a lot of time outside work, and if you're even if you're working from home, you've probably got more time, less the commute,
yeah,
less the lunch hour. You can do something. Don't know what that is yet, but you have an interest or a level of expertise, and you can go out there and show up, or start to show up. I hid behind my design first on Instagram. I didn't post my
yeah,
face, any videos, anything like that. It was all just design work. But that then gave me a slightly thicker skin to go, oh, people like my content. Oh wow, okay, maybe, because I like doing jokey reels and injecting
yeah,
humor and stuff like that as well. So let's just do some funny stuff. Just scared of being, I guess, maybe a bit too serious. So it's like, if I
yeah,
do funny stuff, no one can really take the mick out of me.
yeah,
So I did that, and then it was like, actually, I'm learning things now. I understand a bit more about how the content game works from a
yeah,
personal brand point of view. I need to show up and put my real thoughts out there. And
yeah,
that's when you do start, especially like putting them onto YouTube and stuff where it's completely open forum. Um, yeah, that's when you start to attract a bit of negativity. But it's
yeah.
worse for females, I think, as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really believe that. Yeah, and like this was from like a bloke commenting on my appearance, but it's weird, and I wish I could say, look, if you do X Y Z, you're never going to get a troll or a negative comment. But then I would be completely lying. The more bold you are, the more you share your own opinions, the more authentic you are. I know that another buzzword. Um, but the more you are, yes, at some point you're gonna get a shitty comment or a DM. That's just the way it is. But don't let that stop you from showing up as you, because like your ideal clients, they deserve to know about your existence because they need you. Like
Yeah,
they need you in their lives. And by you just being vanilla, this little wallflower who's all meek and mild and blending in with everyone else, tiptoeing around everyone's opinions, if you continue to do that, obviously your business is probably going to struggle. But you just just don't, you don't need to do it. Like it does hurt, and yeah, it does sting when you get like these shitty comments. But it stings less like the more that you do it. And it's like
yeah,
you said, it's so liberating just being you. Like it's exhausting pretending to be something you're not. I did that for many years. I like really, really pretend. I was always trying to fit into what other people wanted or expected of me, and yeah, I might get the odd troll and stuff and that now, but oh my God, it's just so bloody freeing just saying what I want to say.
it is. And once you do that, that is when you start to reap the rewards as well, in like
Yes.
financial areas, business growth,
Yeah.
audience growth, whatever it is, when you start being yourself. But I feel like with trolls, I've not been affected by it too much, but I feel like they're to be expected when you step out of your step into your skin. So it's like
Yes.
rain and shine, night and day. You can't have one like big exposure without the other, and
Exactly.
it's bittersweet.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I think it is just it's the universe's kind of weird way of balancing it out, isn't it? Right? You can get all
Yeah,
of this exposure and all of this money and success, but you're gonna get these dickheads who like to comment about you as well. You kind
yeah,
of have to take the good with the bad, but it's bloody like it's and I'm saying this. I mean, I haven't had like really, really bad trolls. Maybe I'd feel differently if if I became like this big influencer and had like them on a daily basis. I do know an influencer who's had them, and I think she has like therapy to help with that. Because, yeah, I mean, you do still have to look after yourself. You really, really do. But it is, that's just a given. Like the bigger you become, you can never please everyone. Like
so true.
the more people that know about you, the more there's going to be people who don't like what you've got to say. And there's a lot of just weirdos and losers in the world and keyboard warriors who have clearly got mummy and daddy issues, who just like to deflect their negativity and just put that out into the world. Like, you're never going to get a really happy person or a nice, like, good souled person like doing stuff like that. There's obviously, it's always really, really miserable people who are trolls. They've obviously got their own shit that they just haven't dealt with. So try and feel sorry for them, if anything.
Yeah, definitely got some internal issues if you value
Yeah,
your time or devalue your time enough to just go and give other people grief.
exactly.
I mean, there's a healthy debate, and then there's trolling, isn't there? But the
Exactly.
last question for you,
Yeah.
and it might end up being a bit of a wordy answer, I guess, or a lengthy answer. But if someone's experienced anything that we've spoken about here, fear of judgment, fear of anything, any mindset blockers,
Yeah.
procrastination, perfection, what's the first thing that they can do? The first action that they can take in order to overcome that, or to maybe in some cases, I guess, live alongside it, because it just doesn't vanish
Yeah,
completely.
definitely. I would say you have to be really honest with yourself and sit with your feelings and think, okay, why am I doing this? If you're thinking, let's say, for example, you're really frustrated because you've got a goal and you're just never meeting it. Okay, why is that? Like, have a look at your belief system. What do you truly believe about yourself? Let's say if you're struggling to hit a financial goal, what were finances like when you were a kid? Were your parents always skint? Like, well, like, did you see them regularly fighting about money? Was it maybe they had money and then lost it all and went bankrupt? Have a look into that, because there's probably something in that which is causing you to keep sabotaging and struggling to make your own money. If you've got this constant belief of or let's say, for example, you're terrified about showing up as like your true self online, so you're always creating like really vanilla content, even though you really want to speak your opinion, but you're just terrified. Why is that? Really, really be honest with yourself. Why is it? Is it because I don't feel good enough? Is it because my mom, when I was a kid, used to always tell me to shut the f up? So therefore I've learned to just not speak my opinion because I'll get into trouble. Like, just sit with your feelings and think, what are the main beliefs I've actually got about myself? Because the more you can discover that, and obviously RTT helps with that, but you can still do a certain amount of that discovery by yourself. Like, what are the main beliefs that you've actually got about yourself? Is it,
Mm,
do you know what, success isn't available to me? Okay, well, then you want to explore that, because that's probably why you're not hitting your goals.
love it. So it all starts with understanding and awareness from a self point of view. And I
Yeah,
just reached down to,
absolutely.
have you read this? Psycho-Cybernetics.
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, big one, big one. It'll fit
Ooh.
in well with some of the stuff that you talk about, I think. So it's by a
Right.
guy called Maxwell Maltz, and it's a book I recommend. I've recommended to a few people in the past, and it talks about, it's all self-talk based, and
Yeah.
you view the world through past experiences, basically sometimes through a negative lens. So you've got this bias basically that you judge every single situation on, but most importantly yourself. I won't go into it now because it's
Oh,
one of
I
the
am
best
gonna
books I've
get
ever
that.
read. Yeah, on seriously, Psycho-Cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz. He what used to be a plastic surgeon and
Right.
rearrange people's faces for the
Yeah.
most part, I think. And he would see that new nose that someone had, either a nose reduction, let's say,
Mm.
didn't actually over 6 months made them happy initially, but over 6 months made no real difference in their life,
Wow.
because they were still telling themselves a lot of the time the same
Yeah.
story. And it was, the problem wasn't anything external,
Wow.
it was all internal. And he breaks it down so well. So I've read it twice now, and I just keep it out because I
I
just
love
it's a
that.
powerful book, really
I'm gonna
powerful.
get that. There's another one. I thought I had it on my desk. Another one, if you want to learn more about self-sabotage, it's called The Mountain Is You. So
Oh,
the
is that
mountain,
by a female?
yes. Where
I
the
can't
bloody
remember her name. Yeah, that's
aha,
on my list.
Brianna West.
That's the one. Yeah, with the
Love
mountain in the front.
this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna read it for a second time as well soon. Yeah, The
Okay.
Mountain Is You. There's a lot of like, oh my God, that's what I'm doing in that book. So yeah, definitely get that if you're interested in learning more about it.
Yeah, I need another book for my 75 hard, because you've got to read 10 pages of non-fiction a day.
Oh,
So I've been reading The Psychology of Money, which is a really, really good book.
I've got that on my list.
Have you? Yeah, it's good. And if you ever do 75 hard, anyone out there, each section's about 10 pages long and you've only got to read 10. So it works out really well. You get a chapter or a section a day. But that's got a couple of breakthrough things in it as well.
Yeah.
So you've just got 3 recommendations if you're watching.
Yay!
The Mountain Is You by Brianna West, is it? I've just got it
Yeah.
up on the screen. Brianna West. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and The Psychology of Money by, I can't remember his name, Morgan Hauser, something like that. Something like that.
Something horrible.
Yeah. But all, weirdly enough, all books based on internal rather than anything else.
Yeah.
Which the longer I stay in this role and helping people like I do, the more I see that is the problem. Similar to you,
Right.
you are the biggest blocker in your life. You're also the biggest enabler as well. So yeah, big takeaways from. And I'm going to buy that book now. So
I'm going to buy the other one.
Go on, we'll do a swap in terms of a knowledge transfer at the end. See what you got and see what I got. But I want to say thank you to everyone for turning up. Dionne, I want to say thank you very much for your time as well. It's been lovely to speak. And if you've not caught all of this episode, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards. Otherwise, it will be on my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So thanks again, everyone. Dionne, thank you again. And look forward to speaking soon. See ya.
Yes, bye.
Bye.